everyone, welcome back to another video, and if you're new here, hello, my name is Choua, and today is the day I am going to be filming my Q3 updates for my project Pan. I feel like this quarter has been pretty good when it comes to makeup usage and everything, but when it comes to hitting certain goals and objectives, I feel like this quarter has been a little bit slower than the past couple of quarters, which is fine. We're going to have a little bit of hiccup here and there. I also had a lot going on with work. We also traveled, and then I also got sick in September, so I went a few days without makeup, which is fine. I'm hoping that the next quarter we will be able to hit our goals or just get as much use as we can with the products that are still in this project. With that being said, I am going to start with our newest roll-ins at the beginning of Q3, and then we'll do like the older roll-ins from Q2, and then the products that have been in the project since the beginning of the year in January when we first introduced this project on this channel. First, we are going to talk about my AOA Drop Liquid Foundation. As y'all know, I depotted it into one of my Laneige sleeping masks, and the start weight was 46 grams, and we finished this with 11 uses, and we finished it on September 5th. The end weight weighed at 42 grams, so that meant that we had 4 grams of product in here, and we used all of it up. I feel like if this foundation didn't come in a faulty packaging and there wasn't like a whole lot of air exposure, it would be a little bit more moisturizing, because on the packaging it did say it was like a satin foundation, but when I put it on my own skin, it was a little bit more matte than satin, and I think it was because of the air exposure drying out the product a little bit. The next product is my Tarte Shape Tape Glow Wand and a Light. We also depotted this into a Laneige sleeping mask, and at the start it weighed 47 grams, and then at the end of Q3 we weighed it and it was at 44 grams. So we used 3 grams of this already. We have a little bit more to go. I don't think it's going to take us the entire Q4 to finish this. It might take just another month, but I have been using it right in the inner corners a little bit, especially with other concealers that can be a little bit drier. And then I've also been putting it on my T-zone to really illuminate that area. The next rollout is going to be my Bare Minerals Original Mineral Veil Translucent Setting Powder. This one we started at 42 grams and the end weight was at 38 grams. So we used 4 grams of this product. This was actually really easy for me to use up. I had to pop out this little part on the bottom out to get the rest of the powder. I did have a little bit of mishap with this packaging that I thought I snapped it back in tightly, but I guess I didn't because I dropped it and some of the powder did come out. The powder that fell out of this was definitely enough for like one makeup application, you know, to set the face and everything. But other than that, I used everything left that was in here, and we can roll this out now. I was able to choose the same powder through a recent BoxyCharm subscription, like, you know, where you can pick some of the products out, and I picked this out again, except it was one that came with SPF, so I'm excited to see how that one goes. Another rollout is my NARS Pressed Light Reflecting Setting Powder in Translucent. We are completely done with it. I did take it out of the packaging and repressed it once, and then it crumbled on me. I felt like maybe I didn't add enough alcohol the first time, and that's probably why it crumbled on me. So then I decided to you know, make it into a loose powder, and then I emptied it out into one of my emptied loose powder containers, and it was too chunky, and so it didn't work well as a loose powder. So then I decided to press it again, and it worked a little bit better because I used a little bit more alcohol and I pressed it down a little bit more firmly. But towards the end of me using this product up, it just crumbled and the product just fell out. So there is a little bit left right on the edge of the pan. It's not going to be enough for me to like keep it in the project. So I am going to call this good and empty. I'm going to roll this out. This is going to be enough for like a touch up, and then we will be done with it. And for anyone who has this kind of powder, especially from NARS, do not repress it. It was a total fail for me. It made it really hard to use the product. It didn't work as a fine powder anymore, but I tried to use it as much as possible as a powder. So I would actually go in with different powders first to set my face, and then I will go in with the repressed version of this and really just put it all over the face as kind of like sort of like a finishing powder, but not really, just to really mattify and set down places that I may have missed. And that's how I was able to use the rest of the powder. So another rollout that we have is my Touch in Soul Pretty Filter Glorient Makeup palette. The goal for this one was to hit pan in the lightest shade, and we have done that. We also used it more than 45 times, which was the objective. We used it 55 times, and we hit pan at 40 uses on September 1st. I was debating whether or not I wanted to keep this palette in the project so I can work on the next shade and hit pan on it. But I decided maybe that could be a project for next year or something like that, because I want to give some of my other products in my collection a little bit of love before the end of the year. So I decided that nah, it's okay. Now that I've hit pan, I can feel a little bit better putting this one away. And with organic use, I feel like I can hit pan in the second lightest shade. So that is the reason why I'm rolling this palette out. So a eye product that I rolled in at the beginning of Q3 is my Wonder Beauty Double Day Eyeshadow Duo. And the goal for this product was to finish both shades by the end of the year. And I don't think that is the case anymore. I am going to change the goal to just hitting pan in both shades, so the shimmer and the cream, because I don't think it's possible for me to finish this all up by the end of the year, because I have a lot of eyeshadows that I want to love and I want to get through by the end of the year as well. If not using up all of the shadows that I have in mind, I want to be able to hit pan in as many eyeshadows as I can by the end of the year. That's why the goal for this eyeshadow duo is changing to just hitting pan, and the objective for Q4 is to use each shade 15 times instead of 30. Well, actually in Q3, the objective was just to reach for it 30 times, and I reached for it 19 times generally. And I did keep tabs on how many times I reached for each shade. So the shimmer, I reached for it 15 times, and the cream, I reached for 12 times. With that, I think having the objective of 15 uses each shade would be a little bit more achievable and more realistic for Q4. And so I hope that with that objective, I will be able to hit pan, even if it's just a small tiny pan. Next up is my Pink Lips Cosmetics lip gloss. This one is in shade Aglow, and we have used about half of the product already, and it wasn't too hard because number one, this formula doesn't stay on the lips for long. It does fade, so I do have to apply this a lot more than I am used to when it comes to like other glosses and lip oils. So that's how I was able to get the use. And also every time I use this, I have to dip in at least 2 times to really coat the lips for a glossy look, just because the applicator is quite small. With the amount of product that I have used already in just Q3, I think we will be able to finish it off. Next up is my Mellow Cosmetics lip pencil in Rose. This one, I think we might come close to finishing this by the end of the year. We have used this a lot actually. We have made a lot of progress, and this is a pretty creamy, buttery sort of formula. And I do use this quite a lot to not only line the lips, but to fill in the lips. So if I continue to use it that way, I feel like we might come close to finishing it if we don't get to finish it. You know what I mean? We might have like just a little bit of a tiny nub by the end of the year if we don't actually finish. But the hope is to still try to finish this by the end of the year. And then next is my Bodyography lip pencil in Timber. This one has been an amazing lip liner, especially now that we are in fall. It kind of just does a really great job at helping me define my lips, but also add a little bit of a contour and shaping to my lips. And so it makes it look a little bit fuller, and it just goes well with a lot of lip products that I put on top. And I do think that between my two lip pencils and this project, I'm most likely going to be able to finish this first before the Mellow lip pencil, just because it's a little bit shorter now. I feel like I reach for this a little bit more now that it's fall, and I'm doing a little bit more of like bolder eye looks. Next, we are going to move into the Q2 roll-ins. So these are all the products that we rolled in at the beginning of April, and then moving forward to like Q2 and 3. First one is my Benefit Pore Primer. This I have used every single time I have applied makeup, so we have been getting a lot of good use out of this primer. The start weight was 27 grams. At the end of Q2, we weighed it at 22 grams, so we used 5 grams in Q2. And then at the end of Q3, we weighed it and it's at 16 grams. So we used 6 grams of this product. And as you can see, that Sharpie, we have used a lot of it. And so I feel like I might be able to use this all up by the end of the year. That is the hope, at least. So the foundation that we rolled in to replace our NYX foundation was the L'Oreal Infallible Foundation, and we weighed it at 97 grams to start with, and at the end of Q2 we weighed it at 83 grams. So it seems like we've used 14 grams, which is kind of crazy. Is that true? Let me just double check. Yeah, 14 grams, which is pretty crazy to me. And then at the end of Q3, we weighed it at 78 grams. So that means we used 5 grams of this foundation. And as you can tell, we have just the smallest bit of foundation left in here. If I bring it up to the light, I can see where the foundation settles. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try to keep pumping out as much product out of this original packaging first, and then once it stops pumping for me, I am going to depot this into one of these Laneige sleeping masks. I'm going to wash this out and then depot this foundation in it, just because I really love this formula and I really like this foundation. So I want to be able to use as much as I can of this foundation because I won't be purchasing it for quite a while. It's definitely not going to take me the entire quarter. It's probably going to take me probably the next couple of weeks to use it up, but we shall see how it goes. And the last product that we have rolled in at the beginning of Q2 is my Sweet and Shimmer eyeliner. The sharpener part broke off because I was a little bit too aggressive with it, so it broke off, which is perfectly fine. I just wanted to show y'all on camera that it broke off before I throw it away. This black liner, our goal is to use up 75% of it by the end of the year, and I don't know if we are going to hit that goal, but what I do know is that we have been using this quite a lot to do wings, tight line, waterline, all that jazz. So even if we don't hit 75% by the end of the year, I am probably still going to try to pan this and use it all up because I have other liners that I just really want to try and get through as well. And this one, it works better than the last one that I rolled out, but it's starting to transfer a little bit, maybe because I'm applying a little bit too much sometimes, but it's working pretty well in the waterline. And the tight lining, I don't use it to tight line because sometimes it transfers onto like the bottom lash line, so I don't really do that. But what I've been doing a lot is I have been trying to map out my wing with it before I go in with my liquid liner. and really drawing it out. I also tried using this to do like a smoky eyeliner look, and it's working okay with that too. And so in quarter 3, the objective was 45 uses, and we unfortunately did not hit 45 uses, but we did use this 30 times. And so I am going to set our quarter 4 objective with 30 uses because I feel like that might be a little bit more realistic and achievable for me. All right, sorry, my camera died, so I had to change the battery, but it was good timing because now we are going to be moving on to the products that were originally introduced in this project this year, and we are going to talk about the progress. The first product that we are going to talk about that has been rolled in since the beginning of the year is our Wonder Beauty Trip for Two Blush and Bronzer Duo. I have made significant progress with this palette, and I am quite proud of myself. With the bronzer, I use it to the point where it was kind of hard to use my brush, so I repressed it, and I also hit pan once again with the bronzer, and so it's getting very, very thin. It looks like it won't take much longer to finish. I think it might take maybe a month if I continue to just use this as my sole bronzer for October and get it all finished with. And then with the blush, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this by the end of the year, but I do feel like I will be able to make significant progress with it and might be able to repress it as well. I have been loving this blush with everything. It's what I'm wearing today as well. It goes well with every look. I swear this is like the perfect blush for my complexion. I am just so glad to be able to have so much progress in a product. It makes me really, really proud of myself to just be able to get through this palette, and like, I don't even know how to describe it. I just am really proud of myself, and I'm really excited to finally be able to pan a actual face palette because I don't remember ever panning a face palette. Like, of course I hit pan before, but I don't ever think I finished a whole palette ever. But because of this project, I have had the best time to just track my makeup usage and just see all the progress in real time. And every time I reach into this palette, I get more and more excited because I am making more and more progress, and I just cannot wait to see an empty pan in this palette. And then another face product is my liquid highlighter. This is the Grande Glow Plumping Liquid Highlighter. I depotted this after I wasn't able to get any more products out of the packaging, so it's a little bit easier to just dip my finger in instead of having to like use the wand and try to scrape out the product and everything. So we are almost done with this product. This is all that's left of the product. I am hopeful that we will be able to use it up by the end of the year, even though the progress is kind of slow and you may not see it in the progress photos or like footage, but we are making slow progress, and I'm hopeful that it's just gonna be one of those products where you won't see the end of it until like the very last couple of weeks of the project, you know what I mean? So we have just that much product left. I'm really, really excited to be able to get a liquid highlighter out of my collection and done with and used up. Next is my brow powder. This is the Archers and Halos Dual Brow Luxury Powder. This is in dark brown, and our goal was to finish the lighter shade by the end of the year because we have hit pan in both already, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish the lighter shade. I just think this is just a lot of product. I have been trying really hard to use as much product as I can in my brows without making it look super drawn in and super dark. I've also tried to use it a little bit as like a very muted dark brown slash gray black eyeliner on days where I want it to be a little bit muted but still have a liner. And we are making significant progress. We are continuously having like the pan expand a little bit, the dip deeper, but I don't think we're gonna be able to finish this by the end of the year. Let's just be honest. I think we will be able to expand the pan a little bit more and even maybe deepen the dip a little bit more, you know what I mean? I am going to continue to keep this in the project just to see how much progress we can make by the end of the year, and we might need another year to finish this product, honestly. I'm not gonna put an objective on it. I'm not gonna put a new goal on it. I'm just going to see if I can finish it, even though I know it's going to be quite hard to do. Next is my Naked Cosmetics Loose Pigment in Desert Sunset, and the goal for this was to use half the container. So when we started this at the beginning of the year, we weighed it at 14 grams. Our goal is to hit 7 grams. And the last time we weighed it, it was at 13 grams. So from the start to the last time we weighed it, it seemed like we used only 1 gram, which is fine. But then I measured it again, or not measured, I weighed it again for quarter 3, and we are still at 13 grams, which makes absolutely no sense because I have been using this on the eyes, I've been using it on the nails. I don't understand why there isn't any weight difference. I was thinking whether or not if I should just roll this out of the project, but no, I think I'm just gonna keep it in the project and see how much I can still use by the end of the year. If we don't hit the 7 grams, it's fine. I think the weight is kind of hard to kind of measure because the weight really is coming from the packaging, not really from the product, and you can't really see any like windowing or anything in the container either. But when I open it up and I look at it, it looks like we have made a lot of progress with it. It does look like it might be reaching halfway already. I'm not sure, but I am just going to keep this in the project. I am going to put a objective on it again as well. Our objective for quarter 3 was to use it 25 times, and I only reached for it 13 times. We are just going to keep doing the same thing we have been doing and just keep using this as much as we can, and hopefully we will see a little bit of progress. If not, it's fine. I could say that I spent a whole year trying to pan this, and I could just put it back in my collection knowing that it was loved for an entire year and I can roll something else in. Alright, another eye product is my Appeal Gel Liner. This is the brown liner that I have been using. We have reached the objective for quarter 3, and it was 30 uses. So we did use this more than 30 times actually. We used it 32 times, and we hit 30 uses on September 12th. So it is pretty nice to know that I finally hit goal with at least one of my liners, because it's really hard to do so, just because it's one of those products where the progress is really slow. Even though you use it a ton of times, it's going to be like in the hundreds when it comes to usage, and I'm just glad I was able to hit the goal. I am going to keep the objective the same. Let's be real, I don't know how the next couple of months are going to be like, and holiday season is approaching and all of that, and I have been just loving playing with the rest of my makeup collection, and I just want to be real, you know, like it's towards the end of the year. I don't want to set a really high objective and then not be able to hit it at the end of the year and then, you know, feel disappointed. Next up is my Phase Zero The Necessities eyeshadow palette. This is how it is looking like. Do you see all of that progress? I am so proud of myself. I did franken the top 2 shades together. There was a little bit too much pink shadow, so I only used a little bit, not a little bit, but I used like 3/4 of it and mixed it in with the orangey shade, and I pressed that in, and then I repressed the pink shade as it is back into its compartment, and then I used up the pink shade up first, and then I moved on to really trying to hit pan in the frankened shade, and we have not only hit pan, but we have expanded the shade once again, and I think we might be able to finish this by the end of the year. And then if you look down on the second row with the 2 mattes, the warmer brown, we have expanded the pan a lot. Actually, I have been loving this shade for work, so I have been using the shade a lot for work. And then the cooler shade, or more neutral leaning shade, I have been trying to expand the pan a little bit more too, but this one I haven't been reaching for as much as the warmer one. I think it was because it was during summertime and I just really wanted to get as many warm toned kind of eye looks in as possible. And then as you can see, we have hit pan in the top two shimmer shades. The pink one we've hit pan and expanded, which is crazy to see. And then we also did the same in the yellow shimmer. And how I have been doing that is just trying to create as many more natural, professional looking eye looks with this palette. And I have fallen back in love with this palette because it just creates the most nicest, versatile, professional eye looks with this palette. So I am really proud to just be able to hit pan in these two and be able to continue to use them on the eyes. I think I will be able to hit pan in the last two shimmers here, and we can call it good by the end of the year. Honestly, the goal for this palette was just to really hit pan and see if I can do it. And if I can do it by the end of the year, it's just what I'm the most proud of. And we might be able to focus on finishing up in the next year or so. We shall see, but as of right now, I'm just going to stick to the most realistic thing, which is hitting pan and finishing that transition shade. Alright, and so moving on to the next eyeshadow palette. This is the first Jaclyn Hill palette, and the goal for this palette was to hit 5 pans in 5 shades, and also be able to work with every single shade a couple times a year, or like a few times the entire year. So yeah, I have used all of the shades again. I have used up Silk Cream. I actually repressed it one more time, and then once I repressed it, I hit pan again, and it got to the point where it's like, why am I pulling out such a big palette just to use a transition shade? So what I actually did was I repressed it into my Phase 0 palette once I was done with the pink shade, and I reached for this shade, not this shade. I reached for this palette as my go-to palette for my transition colors. And so I was able to use Silk Cream that way. And we have hit pan in Butter, which is amazing because our goal for Q3 was to use 24/7 and Butter 45 times. And for Butter, we didn't reach 45 uses. We were only able to use it 23 times, but we hit pan. I think we hit pan at 21 use actually on September 21st. So about a week ago we hit pan, and then I expanded the pan a little bit by using it a couple more times after that. And then 24/7 we reached for it 11 times. So we didn't reach 45 uses. I feel like now that I think about it, my objectives that I have set for this palette for Q3 was a little bit delulu, you know, very delusional because there was a lot of colors I needed to use and play with. And then I also had other eye products that I have entered in different projects as well. So 45 uses for each shade, that was a bit much now that I think about it. But you know what? That's perfectly fine. I'm glad I was able to at least hit pan because that's what we were going for. And then 24/7, I'm just glad I was able to use it more than 10 times for Q3, which is great. I used it as kind of like a outer corner shimmer when I didn't want a matte outer corner and I just wanted like a really nice shimmer eye look. I used it for that and I really liked it. So for Q4, I am going to set a more reasonable and realistic objective for the last 2 shades that I have to focus on. So for 24/7, which is the brown shimmer, I am gonna set that at 30 uses. I think that is more realistic. And I think 30 uses might be good enough to hit pan, if not a big pan, a small pan. And then for hunts, I don't think I've reached for it more than 1 time. So I'm going to set 30 uses for that as well. Fall season is when I really use more of like my orangey, red, browny, brick tones on the eyes. Hopefully that might be enough to hit pan. We shall see. Then moving on to the second palette, we have used every single shade at least one time in quarter three. I feel like this was the palette that I reached for a lot more than the first palette in quarter three, honestly. I think it's because it's a little bit more warm and summery. So I did reach for some of these shades a little bit more than one time, actually, maybe a few more times than usual. And our focus shades for quarter three was to hit pan and get ready with me and grateful. And the objective for quarter three was to use each shade 25 times. And get ready with me, I was able to use it 20 times, which I was really hoping to hit pan on get ready with me before I filmed this update, but it just didn't happen. Hopefully in quarter four we can hit pan on that. And then for grateful, we used it 17 times, and we have a pretty big dip on that as well. I think we might be able to hit pan on both shades in quarter four. And then we have one more shade to also focus on in order to hit pan and reach our goal for this year, which is Living My Best, which is this red shade right here. And we are going to set an objective for that for quarter four as well. So get ready with me. We're going to set that at 15 uses. I think 15 uses for quarter four is going to be enough to hit pan. And then grateful, I'm going to do 25 uses just because I find like this matte shade, it's going to take a little bit longer to hit pan just because of the pigment and just the nature of the shade, you know, the color. And then Living My Best, I'm going to set it at 15 uses. I am hoping that it's only going to take 15 uses to hit pan in Living My Best. I don't know if that's the case, but 15 uses is going to get me reaching for it a little bit more. So that is the goal. It does have some disturbance, but it doesn't have a big dip. So we shall see. I know during like the holiday seasons, I'm going to be wearing like more reds and more like Christmassy colors, so maybe I can do that, or I can use this red to darken some pink looks and everything. Who knows? We'll just keep playing with this palette and use every single shade once again, and hopefully we'll be able to hit the goals for this pan as well. This palette as well at the end of the quarter. Moving on to a liquid blush. This is the Half Caked Lip Fondant. Our objective for quarter three was 30 uses, and we indeed hit 30 uses. We hit it on September 26th, so we hit it this week, and I am going to keep the objective the same for quarter four. I don't know if we're gonna be able to finish this. I can't really tell. I think we might be close. Who knows? There's still a little bit of product that still comes out of the wand, enough for me to use for both cheeks. So 30 uses might be able to get me to use it up a little bit more. Next is my Bite Beauty lipstick in Beetroot. This one I set an objective for 25 uses. I've hit 25 uses on September 16th, and then I use it 2 more times to hit 27 uses. I have a hair in it. I used this only as a cream blush in quarter three, so the progress photos is not going to show too much because I mainly used it as a blush. Now that it's fall, I can start using this as like more of like a berry toned lipstick with more of my purpley eye looks. So I might be able to use this a little bit more as a lip color and blush color, just to get a little bit more use out of it. Am I gonna be able to use half of this before the end of the year? Probably not, but I am going to try to get as much use as I can by the end of the year and see how much progress is left. I am going to increase the objective for quarter four, and it's going to be 30 uses instead of 25, just because I know that I can hit 25 uses now. The last makeup item we are going to talk about is my Persona E Balm. This is in the shade Manifest, and this is how it's looking like. Our objective for quarter three was 30 uses, and we were able to reach 30 uses on September 22nd, and then we used it 3 more times after that to reach 33 uses. I am so proud of myself to just be able to go above and beyond to reaching that objective, because I really want this on my collection by the end of the year. And as you can see, we are almost there. I am almost done with it. There's just the smallest nub left. And I am probably just gonna use it up until it's, you know, stops working for me. I don't think I'm going to dig up the product just because I don't like it that much to the point where I want to, you know, put in the effort to dig up the product. And with that, for quarter 4, I am going to set the same objective, 30 uses, and I really hope that we will be able to use this up by then. So the 2 non-makeup items that I have left in this project is my makeup remover, and we have hit goal. We've hit the marker here, and so technically I could roll it out, but I am actually going to keep it in just because we have this much to go left, and I just don't want to neglect it again, you know what I mean, and have it be with me for another year. So I'm just gonna keep this in the project and use it up as much as possible because I just really want this out of my collection. I want to start purchasing micellar waters that I really enjoy using instead of a makeup remover like this. So that's kind of all I have to say about it. And then next we have the Evolution face oil. I have used this all up completely. I finished this on September 1st. Honestly, I was kind of sad when I used it all up, and there was just a little bit left in here that the dropper couldn't get, so I was like, come on, come out. And so I did try to use every last drop of it because I just really liked it. So we have a lot of progress. We have some rollouts, and I do have new roll-ins, and I was thinking about doing my project pan finale like halfway through December instead of waiting until the end of December because I am planning on doing Vlogmas, which means I am going to be updating or like uploading videos every single day in December up until Christmas, and I want to include my finale as one of the videos in my Vlogmas kind of series or kind of project this year. So I was thinking about maybe ending it a week or 2 early just so that I can give myself a break from this project and just be able to play with whatever makeup I get during the holiday season and just have the 2 weeks of freedom before I start the next year with projects again. So that is why I have set more realistic goals for the existing products in this project, and the products that I have picked out, I have set more like obtainable objectives on them and not being too dramatic with it because I already know that I'm not gonna be able to finish most of these products. And so as long as I can get some progress started, you know, then I will feel a bit better going into 2026 with these products. So we have 5 new roll-ins, and the first one we're gonna start with is my COSRX lip sleeping mask. This I purchased in February of this year, I think. This was pretty expensive for a lip mask. It was like $19, and I am entering this in with the goal to finish this because as you can see, there's already a lot of product that was used up. There's also like a pan in it already, and I want to use this all up because it's starting to get gritty, and when I purchased it, it wasn't like that. So I don't know if it's the temperature change, if it's normal. I want to just use it up and get rid of this by the end of the year because I don't necessarily like it that much anymore. It doesn't hydrate my lips as much as my Laneige lip sleeping mask. So I want to use this up and just get it done with. So if I could just use this as my main lip sleeping mask and my main lip balm when I'm like prepping my lips for makeup and all of that, I think I might be able to use it all up. Next is my Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless foundation. I purchased this for my cheer makeup video towards the beginning of the year, and I've only used up this much based on the line right there and like a little bit of that windowing, and my goal is just to use half of the bottle, and I just really want to be able to get some use from this foundation a little bit more because I haven't touched it since like the end of quarter 2, and I am going to be done with my L'Oreal foundation very soon, and I want another foundation to work on. Next is another complexion product. This is my AOA Flaw Eraser Concealer Stick. My goal for this is to finish finish it by the end of the year. I have been using this product to spot conceal a lot ever since I purchased it in the summertime. I have used a significant amount of it already, so it's not gonna take too long, I don't think, to use this concealer up. And even if we don't finish it up by the end of the year, as long as we have just a little bit of a nub left, I can still finish it outside of the project and whatnot. So because I am going to be finishing up my Wonder Beauty bronzer, I want to be able to roll something in to replace it. So I am going to be rolling in my Ciate bronzer in Palm Island. This was in a Project 10 use this year, and so I was able to get a little bit of use out of it. I think this is one of my older bronzers as well. I want to fade out the embossing in this bronzer just because I really want to get some use out of this a little bit more, use it up, get it out of the collection. I really like the packaging, so I might keep the packaging once it's done with, but as of right now, I just really need to use that bronzer up because it's one of my older bronzers. Next is a highlighter, and so I am entering in my Essence Pure Nude Highlighter in Be My Highlight. This is relatively new. I purchased it this year, but I really enjoy having a highlighter in this project, like a powder highlighter at least, and I feel like I might be able to get some use out of this if I enter into this project a little bit more. I mean, of course I reach for it outside of projects already, but I've never actually panned a baked product before, and so I don't necessarily want to pan it. I just want to hit pan on this. And so that's the goal for this highlighter. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it or not, but that is the goal. I mean, because I'm already reaching for it, might as well enter into a project and really get some use out of it and hit pan on a baked product, because I have not done that before, and it would be really, really great and satisfying to be able to do that for the first time in my life, you know what I mean? So that is all I have for you. We have 5 rollouts, 5 rolled in, and we'll just see how much progress we can get in Q4. Let me know what you think I'll do well in the comments below. What are the products that you think might be the most difficult to pan? Also, let me know if there are anything else that you would like to see in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!